it.
You don't have any talent. You don't have the
Stop
skills.
it.
You're stupid. You're not smart enough.
Stop
to
it.
deserve this. Nobody loves you.
Just stop.
You are what you believe. I am good enough. I do deserve this. I am brave. I am strong. I am smart. I can do anything. I am great at this. I have everything that I am so good. I am amazing.
Welcome to Pathways, May 2nd. I am Jay. That is Mel.
Hi, guys.
Thank you all for joining us tonight. Interesting times we live in. And we've been doing this series on the Bible, things like that. Mel and I were talking in faith and fear, right? Because we have a lot going on in our lives right now. And thought maybe it would be good to talk about it, right? Because I personally, I know I have some fears, right? I just started a business. You got COVID. You got the vaccine stuff going on. Even though I don't plan on getting the vaccine, you still have these things to contend with. And even though I don't think we like to think we have fear, I think there's a lot of ways we cover that up. What do you think?
Definitely have a struggle with fear, for sure. I think that since I've found Pastor Joby, who has it's called Church of 1122 that I follow, it's helped me get through that fear and anxiety that I think maybe kind of is more prevalent in women, maybe, I think, as moms and wives and all those different things. So I've learned to sort of give it to God more than I ever have in my life. So for me, I don't know, am I getting better at it?
I'm just kidding.
And the fear kicks in.
Yeah. And the fear kicks in there, right? There's my fear right there, right?
What are you going to say?
It's an interesting time we live in, you know. It's, you know, the one thing I like about Pastor Joby there is that and even servants gives me a lot of guidance too. I wish he could have joined us tonight. I'd assumed something had happened where he couldn't.
Yes, let's keep him
and
in our
probably
thoughts
my
and
short
prayers.
notice. Another special note, I want to congratulate driving Miss Charlie. She was able to acquire her van. Today's her birthday.
Yes,
so
happy birthday.
with some gifts, you know. I mean, essentially, you know, she packs up, moves to California, COVID hits, and she finds herself in a very big predicament of, you know, living out of her car. I hope you're okay with me talking about this. But, you know, she goes out, she's able to acquire a van now. So now she's got a mobile home, if you will, and she can work out of it, she can live out of it, and she's got a little bit more room. So, Charlene, I just want to say congratulations and happy birthday. Mm-hmm. This is awesome. You know, and this is actually a great example of setting aside fear. Because if I was her, I quite honestly, I don't know what I would do. You know, one of my greatest fears is being alone. Mel and I went out to breakfast this morning. And there was a woman that had come in, and she sat behind Melissa. So I could directly see her, and she ordered her food, and I thought, man, I don't want that to be me. I don't want to lose her. You know, I want to be selfish. I want to go first, you know, because I don't want to be that old, lonely person. I don't want to wake up with no one next to me. You know, and that's probably why I hate when you go upstairs at 5 o'clock in the morning to let the dog out and you sleep on the couch. It drives me bonkers.
Does it?
It really does. That's why I'm like, why'd you sleep upstairs? And you're always like, because you're snoring.
And let me just explain, like, we are not the snuggly people that are like, oh, let's spoon. I'm like, you're hot. Your heavy breathing is now affecting my life. And we don't do, like, we have a king-size bed because we like to be like this. I do, at least. I don't know. Maybe now I'm realizing you're a little bit more clingy than I thought.
No, I just like to have that body next to me, whether it's...
Oh, is it just anybody or is it my body?
Well, it's your body.
I'm just teasing you.
It's so... fear is a big driving factor in a lot of people's lives. And I don't know if we really realize that.
It's paralyzing for people.
It can be.
Yeah.
You almost have to wonder, is this what creates anxiety in people, right?
100%.
The unknowns. It's, we have a child that has the tendency to, if the dog throws up, the stomach's turned. So he goes from 0 to 10 to worst case scenario. And that's not always the healthiest thing. And whereas I'm very analytical, okay, what happened? Why did it happen? Can he do this? Can he do that? Right? I try to get to the root problem to determine, what's the next stage.
He gets that from me.
Yeah. So one of our focuses was going to be on John, right?
Yeah, John the Baptizer.
John the Baptizer.
Yeah, I like him because I don't think he's very humble. He doesn't realize I guess he probably realizes it, but he doesn't take it and say, like, I'm important, it's me, like, I'm the one who's, baptizing these people and replicating what Jesus is supposed to be doing. He's not like that. So,
yeah. Jeremy Red just said this best. The sermons from his church this morning was the same topic. Forget your fear and be courageous.
Jeremy, I have that happen. Okay, so I have to tell you guys this story. So I listened to
Mel story time.
Do you want me to set the fear of God in you again? Do you want me to do it? Okay. So, all right, just kidding. So, Aiden had this big sectional game you guys knew about last week. We prayed for it, which I think everybody, because they won. So we went to this whole COVID of his, crappy senior year. Wasn't even sure if he's going to play his favorite sport. He did. He was able. They went undefeated until senior night. Senior night, the moms and I are... Thank you, Jeremy. He loves my stories. Thank you. The moms and I are like, we love these boys. These boys are extremely close. So the moms and I do this whole big thing. We do this taco bar after the game and set all this stuff up, and we're like, please, Lord, win, right? Well, there was a bunch of things that had happened that kind of disrupted the dynamic of the group, of the team. And they lost. And they lost pretty big. And it was pretty humbling for some of them. And so we go out, and Saturday was gorgeous day. Section 5 championship. We crushed them. We went 42-7, and they got the touchdown at the very fourth quarter, which we had like our second, third string in. So, fantastic win. We're all flying, just extremely excited. And that morning, Aiden, who's so grounded at times, like he just amazes me. And he says, I said, Aiden, I need you to go into this, and I need you to go into this and say to your team, have no fear, but have faith. Have no fear. It's paralyzing. Faith. Give everybody the faith. I don't know if he really did, because, a 17-year-old to go out there and say, like, something that has to do with the Bible, might be a little awkward for him. So either way, that was our prayer. But before that, I was listening to Pastor Joby, and I had gone through all of his past sermons, and this one that I listened to was from like 2018. And isn't it an episode about his son going to play in his Little League baseball game, and he said to him, "What's the matter, buddy?" And he said, "I'm just scared, Dad. Like, this team's undefeated, and we're undefeated, and they're really good, and I don't want to lose, and blah, 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 blah." And it was just so weird, because it was like the exact scenario, different sport, different age group, but like the definition and the meaning behind it was exactly what I needed in my life at that moment. And that goes back to nothing in this world happens without reason or purpose. And we have to start to believe that. We have to start to, as a society, stop thinking so much and say, even with Trump, everything is happening for a reason. We don't know what it is, and we're not supposed to know. Because if we knew, then that's not God's plan. We just have to start to have faith in people and faith in God again. And I really went out there at that game less fearful, because I was like, if I'm fearful, I'm projecting that onto everybody around me. I could be the person that's making these kids lose, because I'm projecting this negativity and this fear, and I have to not be that person. I may have actually had a drink before, which did also help my anxiety. I'm not promoting that at all. But I'm just saying, you know what? We have to stop paralyzing ourselves in this world and start having more faith. And in Charlene, prime example, I mean, who just packs up and says, I'm moving to California and I have nothing, because she needed to be in a better place in her life, and she had faith and was praying for something better. And finally it's happened. And us too, we've had that. We've been in rough times in our lives.
Yeah. So one of the scriptures I like to think of that's fear-based is John 9, 1 through 3. So John chapter 9, 1 through 3. And what is said there is talking about a blind man. And as he says, as he went along, he saw a blind man from birth. And his disciples had asked him, Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? And Jesus says, neither this man nor his parents sinned, but this happened so that the works of God might be displayed for him, or in him, in him. So I kind of look at this as if God made the blind so that his glory could be shown. Perhaps the situation ends the same, meaning this whole COVID thing, right? Like, maybe this is where God shows his true self. So is God going to use this situation to show his glory? I'd like to think so. And I think that things are leading us that way. I know that you wanted to do some stuff from John 2. What were you thinking on John 2?
So John basically, like I said earlier, he doesn't define himself by what he does, but by his relationship with Jesus. So in chapter 1, verse 35, he says, behold the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world. So he's saying he sees something that we can't see. And I started to think about it as I was writing this down. And, you know, there's that saying, like, in the eye of the beholder. And it's so comparable to that verse of, I might see something in you that other people don't see, but that's what I see in you. And I see something in my God that maybe you don't see. It's different for you. So it's in the eye of the beholder. But you know, the part that I want to talk about is how social media and this world that we live in is really pushing our kids into thinking that they need to be something because that's what's being presented to them. You know, like this whole Nicki Minaj thing and all those other nasty people doing like the twerking and things like that. These little kids that are doing that, we have to stop presenting to these kids that stuff is okay. That is not what we should be presenting. And don't take away the religious aspect of it, but just a moral aspect of it. Is that what you want for your kids? You want your kids to be looked upon as sexual beings?
No. But the deviants do, right? The devil does. You know, there kind of reminds me of what you just said there. Kind of reminds me of Jeremiah 29. verses 11 through 13. So, verses 11 through 13 are, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope in a future. And then you will call on me and come and pray to me, and I will listen to you. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart." So that's really, really powerful right there.
Which is so weird. Can we just say to you guys that we're kind of totally winging this? I mean, I did listen to my pastor this morning, but he just pulled that up, and I had no idea. Like, this is totally like us just talking to each other.
Yeah, so what that means is,
Good job.
As God's left his people to the punishment of their sins against him, he left them with a promise as well. "For I know the plans I have for you, to give you hope in future." I wouldn't presume this illness is a punishment from God, meaning COVID, right? But I know that from the Bible, God does punish. But it's also clear that the fallen nature of man welcomes sickness into this world. How true that is, right? We are in a very sick world. I personally believe that I was a sick person for many, many years. And what I'm trying to help you see here is that no matter our current circumstances, God's plans are always good. Always good. And I know that maybe that seems hard to believe right now, or maybe a point in your life, but there's truth to that. You know, I'd like to say that, I wasn't this person today that I was 20 years ago. I'm not saying that I wasn't a kind person, because there was kindnesses, but when I drank and I did drugs, I did a lot of deceitful, sinful things. And I have a lot of regret, and not a lot of regret, but a lot of remorse for those things, right? The people that I hurt, my mom, my dad, my brothers, my grandmother and grandfather, right? And even people in my community that I let down. And so, but I have to know that there was a plan for me, and that my current situation is much different than what it used to be. And I think that those are all things are possible when you put your mind to it and you bring God into your life. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think that you struggled with that up until probably a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I think that you still talked about that person that you used to be. You would bring it up at times. And I think that you still felt in your heart that, like, you had to explain yourself to people.
Right.
And that's really sad. And actually, and I'm just going to say that that's part of the reason why we moved out of our hometown. Was because there are those people that those in glass houses should not throw stones, for sure. And we still deal with that in our community. In this community, we have people that have been in where we grew up. But as we've learned, their lives, again, what they're putting out on social media and what they like to present is definitely not what's happening within their household. And we have been really blessed in the fact that our kids have always been honest with us. We've never, I mean, I'm not going to say they haven't been deceitful at times or they haven't done things that we don't know about. For sure they have. But we've also been honest with them about our past. And we always wanted our kids to know. We never wanted it to be like, oh, your mom and dad did this. And then Aiden comes home and he's like, what? I thought you guys were different people. So we've been really lucky. And I don't present those things on Facebook. Aiden and I fight all the time. We struggle. Our relationship struggles because we are the same person. And we are working together on working through those issues because we're both stubborn bullheads.
True statement.
So, but I also, I carry guilt as well because I do feel as though my anxiety, I put that on our kids, I think. And that makes me feel kind of bad. But I also have to say, you know, our kids have grown up and they're pretty awesome kids. We hear compliments about them all the time. So
Yeah.
how they present themselves to other people is really what we should be proud of.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's a true statement right there. You know, somebody in the chat said they will always bring the past up and throw it in your face like they are free from sin. Yeah.
Yes, Tara.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
thou shalt not judge, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting take right there.
But I struggle with not judging. I mean, that's human nature. You know, it's human. And I have to say to myself, I don't know their situation. I have no idea. And so I have to stop myself and at that moment, like, remind myself on who I want to be. So, you know, there was in John verse 38, there was 2 disciples that heard Jesus speaking, and they followed him. And when they followed him, Jesus turned and saw them and said, "What are you seeking?" And I think that's a really great question. What are you seeking? What are you seeking in life? Again, now with social media and stuff, it makes you think like, I'm seeking this perfect farmhouse, perfect Chip and Joanna life. I often say, like, we're the heavy version of Chip and Joanna. No, Jay, you're not Chip.
No, I'm definitely not Chip.
Okay, well, anyways, so you know, we present this, we watch these TV shows, and we see all these different things. We're supposed to have this perfect house and this perfect life and all these different things. And, you know, what are you seeking? When you get those things in life, are you really going to be completely fulfilled? I say no. Until you accept God into your life, you are not going to ever be completed. You're never going to be fulfilled.
Yeah. So last night we watched a really interesting movie. It was with Owen Wilson and Selma Hayek, and it was called Bliss. So I'm not one to ruin movies for you, but it's essentially starts out with a man in his office, Owen Wilson, right? It's Owen Wilson?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's in his office. He's having a hard time kind of focusing. And he's called to his boss's office. He keeps blowing it off. And, like, you can feel this tense nature. Like, I'm almost like, dude, go to see your boss. Like, get your ass in there, right? And then he tries to refill his prescription. And so at this point is where you catch on that he's got a problem with pills.
Well, because he's making it a priority. Like,
right.
You see him starting to panic.
And so he ends up in circumstances. He ends up meeting Selma Hayek's character, and the conclusion that he comes to is that he is not of this world. He is of this other world. And it's very much like what we've talked about in the past on the Red Pill project and things like this. Well, long story short, at the end, he kind of finds his way back. I'm not going to ruin it for you, but you should watch the movie. And it's so, as we've been going through this, it made me think of Romans 8:26-28. And so in the same way, the Spirit helps us in our weakness. We do not know what we ought to pray for, but the Spirit himself intercedes for us through wordless groans. And he searches our hearts, knows the mind of the Spirit, because the Spirit intercedes for God's people in accordance with the will of God. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. So the scripture tells us 3 things, right? First, the Spirit helps us in our weakness. Second, when we don't know what to pray, God's Spirit intercedes. And lastly, God works out all things to the good of those who love him. So, you know, there's really, really truth here. And to give you an idea, I struggled with leaving and starting my own business simply because of fear. for a long time in my life, I always thought that I was afraid of failure. But looking back, I had tons of failure, but I had limited successes. I would say at this point, the last time that I had something that I thought was successful was probably my senior year in high school. I won what was called the Principal Award. I won Outstanding Performance in a Drama. I also won an award for my football team, which was called the Tom Callan Award, which was basically given to an outstanding lineman that showed leadership, strength, all those attributes. And what I had come to realize as I was progressively going through my life, that I wasn't afraid of failure. I was actually afraid of succeeding. And even starting my own business, like the way the other thing worked was I was an independent. So I was a 1099 and there were some back end deals. But essentially, I've been working for myself since 2016, maybe. And at this point, it was just the fear of not being able to be successful, right? I can say that with the other place that I did this, and I did this, and I did this, and that got us to this point. Even though I didn't do that all by myself, I definitely was a leading factor in that success. Success is a hard work and a massive responsibility. 100%.
Terry, you're killing it tonight.
Yeah. So what was I really afraid of? I was afraid of me. I was afraid of my own weaknesses, right? But then I realized at some point that I had something to help me. And that's Melissa. Because where I am weak, she is strong. And where I am strong, maybe she's weak, right? She definitely doesn't know my industry like I do. So all of those things are driving factors from fear. And, sometimes that fear can overwhelm you. Sometimes it makes you want to curl up in a ball and just say, forget it. I don't want to do it. It's too hard. I want to quit. And I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be successful, right? Every day I wake up and I do influencers. I visualize in the morning and I visualize in the afternoon. But why, right? Well, because I still have negative thoughts. I still try to be self-destructive in some sense. And so I have to overcome my weaknesses. So what do I use? I use the tools of prayer, right? And I use the tools of positive affirmation. One of the things that I've said many times on many different shows other than this is that all these things in our lives are connected. The universe, Earth, humans, God, it's all connected. If I want to be in a living hell, all I need to do is go back to consuming alcohol and drugs every day and putting negative thoughts into action. Boom. That's a living hell. Why do I want that? Is my life better with it or without it? Right? I'm stealing all your thunder here.
I'm just enjoying listening to you. It's totally fine.
Yeah.
It's totally fine. I don't have that. Like, I don't think that I've ever... I have more fear of not getting everything accomplished that I have in my mind. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I've never been afraid of... I don't think that anybody knows my backstory. So I'll just tell you guys quickly. Well, in my version of quickly. When... He's really you guys might not see him tomorrow night. This might be it for him. I got pregnant at 16 and had my daughter when I was 17. And, thank God for the support of my parents, because I wouldn't have been able to get through that without them and their support. But I graduated on honor roll with my class and my 1-year-old daughter at the time. And I went to school to be a hairdresser. So I graduated and went right into the hairdressing field, and then met this old sexy man right here. I think you guys all know that story about him coming in and getting a haircut over and over and over again. And then I asked him out on a date, and then we got married. So anyways, I was married by the time I was 20, and we bought our first home by the time I was 21. So Jason actually at one point before we got married had asked me a really great question and said, "Are you sure this is what you want to do? Because I don't want it to be in, 10 years from now that you're like, my gosh, I didn't have like
I didn't get to soil my oats."
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. A hunk over a man. I like that. Climb BMX. If I didn't get to soil my oats. But honestly, that was never really how I was. I kind of did a little partying when I was younger, like 14, 15 with my girlfriends. But I wasn't really about that life. So I didn't really miss out on that. And we had a great time together when we camped and all that kind of stuff. But I never really had a fear of... When I had a vision of something, I knew I could do it. It was more of putting this expectation on myself of being this fantastic business owner and making sure I attend every single one of the kids' games and making sure that I'm a good mom and making sure that I'm a good wife. Like, in my head, I felt like my job was to take away every worry from him. Dinner was ready. Like laundry was done, which I'm really not that great at laundry, but laundry was done, like the house was cleaned. And all this time, I'm also working. And it was a lot of pressure that I put on myself, and I remember feeling like resentment towards them and my kids, and it wasn't ever their fault. It was mine. It was this expectation that I was never going to meet, ever. And so now when I'm like, I'm still like my house clean and I still like certain things done a certain way, but I think that I've improved on that. And I remember him saying at one point, it was Christmas time, and they were not helping me put up the Christmas stuff. I was so pissed. And I was like, get off the couch and help me with the Christmas tree. And I lost it. And he's like, do you think that you're like making this fun for your kids? Do you think that, like, in your mind, so in my mind, I wanted to make this like a tradition, a Christmas tradition.
Hurry up and get down here and decorate the tree.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Lucifer is like, come to the Christmas tree, freaking out. And I'm like,
it's a tradition.
Yeah, and it became the psychotic family tradition, and like, oh yeah, who the hell wants to do that? Oh, can't wait, Mom's gonna be crazy, let's do the Christmas tree. No, and then I kind of stopped and started to think about it, and I was like, wow, I can't force that upon anybody. Like, I can't force my beliefs on anyone. They have to be open-minded and open to it, and then it could be something we all enjoy. But there just comes a point where, for me, the fear is not getting everything accomplished that's in this brain of mine. I still have that fear. I still do.
Yeah.
I made dinner tonight, though, and I crushed dinner tonight. That was a good steak.
It was all right. So, Brian asked here, is being suspicious of someone's actions the same as being judgmental?
Oh.
I don't think so. I don't think so at all.
No.
Being judgmental is like, man, that guy's lazy. And then you find out he's got cancer, right? That's being judgmental. Or, God, that guy's obese. But then you find out he's got a thyroid problem. That's judgmental. somebody comes into your house and is trying to charge you $40,000 more than everybody else to do the same project, that's definitely not being judgmental. I think that's using discernment, right? You're judging you're questioning their actions because their actions may not be morally acceptable. So,
and you should question people's actions nowadays. I mean, you know what? Again, we're fighting this battle between good and evil. And honestly, if you feel in your heart that something doesn't feel right, you have every single right to question that. You have every single right to question that. And none of us are perfect. That's a thing that everybody needs to understand, that God loves us regardless. Okay? Just there was that, where was that when you just read it this last time.
Which one?
He loves his people. He loves everyone. He loves the bad. He loves the people who, because in the snap of a fingers, in a prayer, in you repent for your sins, he will accept you. So even if you're being judgy, you can still pray to help with that, to help be guided through your judgmental behaviors. I do. I still judge people sometimes. I shouldn't. I know I shouldn't, but I do. So I'm working on that. Everybody, we're a work in progress. But no, definitely go with your gut. It's never done me wrong. Well, it did, actually, when I had diverticulitis. Sorry. Jason doesn't think I'm funny. I often say something funny, and then I just laugh at myself. And then he sits there. So here's my thought. One, he doesn't think I'm funny. And two, he's not listening to me. So I'm not sure which one that one was.
Probably not listening.
There you go.
Just being honest. I have this amazing gift.
Oh,
I think
wait. Read what...
I read it. So that's why I wasn't paying attention. So I have this amazing gift to tone things out.
It's amazing.
It really is. And I actually do it to Josh sometimes. Josh will go on those 20-minute rants, and I'm just like, heard it. So then I'll suddenly be like, Jay, what do you think? And I'll be like, yeah, man, that was really good, Josh. I ain't got nothing. Because I start to tone him out.
See? Jeremy know exactly.
We know
Wait,
this.
are you saying that you noticed that Jason tunes people out, or that I think I'm funny? Which one?
So, that's funny. So, Friday night show ran a half hour late, and I didn't say anything. And then he's like, dude, we got 1 minute. He's like, you want to go now? I'm like, no, dude, you went a half hour over. And he's like, oh my God, I lost track of time. But he had lost my interest at that last half hour. Both. So
I kind of like this interaction with
yeah,
chat.
it's kind of funny. So Zephaniah chapter 3 verse 17, the Lord your God is with you, the mighty warrior who saves. He will take great delight in you. In his love he will no longer rebuke you, but will rejoice over you with singing.
What did you say that word was?
Rebuke.
It's
Rebuck.
rebuke.
What do you want to call it?
It's rebuke.
I got it right second time.
What did you... You called it rebuck.
Rebuke. So God rejoices over me, over us, over our children.
Yes,
Even better, in this verse, God promises not to just be with me, but specifically to claim my fears. He's God. He's got this. And if I were ever to trust my children to anyone, it would be with him, right? And so I ran into somebody yesterday. So when kids here have the tendency to win sectionals or sectionals, we have this big circle in our center of our community, and they drive around with the fire trucks blaring their horns, and all the parents are out there, woo. And I don't know what can we slag at sermons from the cave. I don't know what that means. So I was talking to a parent, and we were talking about this COVID restrictions, the effects on business, things like that. And I said, listen, I answer to one person and one person only. Mel would like to think that's her, but it's essentially God, right? He is the king. He is the person that I have to answer to for my actions, and not Governor Cuomo. And no matter what Cuomo thinks, he can go pound salt. I'm not getting that freaking vaccine, and they're pushing it harder and harder and harder, and they got more stars coming out saying get vaccinated, get vaccinated. And the only way that we're going to be able to go maskless now is that if once we're at 80% vaccination, then we'll have herd immunity. That was some shit I heard today, and I thought, how ridiculously.
But that's the social media that we keep talking about, and the expectations that are being put onto us as society, that they're really like, had an Uber commercial. You can't get a ride for a COVID vax. Oh, let me get you a ride for a COVID vax. What? And they're pushing the Uber like commercials. It's we have to stay strong in our faith that this is all baloney and that we do not need to conform. We do not need to conform. I do think I might make some t-shirts. Would you guys buy t-shirts for me if I made them that said faith over fear? I know that there's probably people who do that. Maybe I could come up with a better slogan.
Faith over fear? I think that's great.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, like, Jeremy's saying that we noticed that you tune out Josh. Would it be the glazed look that comes over his face like this?
Jay, you're froze up. No, I'm not, Josh. Hey, I want to thank Jeremy for saying this, though. He said, gotta be honest, Jay, you've inspired me to get my contractor's license. You stepped out and did it. It wasn't easy, I'm sure, but nothing good comes easy. Indeed.
Amen.
You know what? And I will say to this, hey, if you guys are on the app, get on the app. I'd be more than happy. I was thinking about reaching out to another red pillar on the app. He's been on the show, but he's also a contractor. He's got a lot of years of experience of being out on his own. And I actually had some questions, and I thought he would be a great person, kind of a mentor to go to. And so if you're ever thinking about getting into the trades, or you're in the trades but want to start your own thing and you're just not sure how to do it or how to get leads and things like that, let me know. I'd be more than happy to give you some insight there. It's
or share your projects or how somebody does something.
Yeah. I've actually been thinking about doing like the contractor's corner or something like that. There's one thing that everybody here is or does or has is they have to do. Jay, you're on mute. No, Josh, I just don't have anything to say. Holy shit.
You're cursing because
that's so
sermons
funny.
Is not on, and that's why you're cursing.
So, you guys
David.
are killing the chat today.
Yeah, you guys are
if
killing.
Josh is watching, he's laughing. He's probably laughing and shaking his head going, yeah, true statement. So, I've actually been thinking about doing a contractor show. Just because, one, I am really good at, I'm good at fixing shit. And, yeah.
Are you good at completing it? Listen, this is a new conclusion that I have, you guys, that it's done for me. My addition is, it's done. It's probably not going to happen.
Are you done?
Did you freeze up?
So a lot of you guys have homes, or mobile homes, but you always got something that probably needs to be fixed. And, if we can help you, tool time with Jay. Yep. So, I think it'd be a good idea.
You could do tool time
And
with
I
Jay?
would never, ever I would always have something to say. Like the way Josh goes on about some of the things he knows about. Good God, I could go on and on and on.
Honey, you're going to do a tool time with Jay, and I'll do pool time with Mel. And it'll be like, this is how you make a new margarita. Although I've never made a margarita in my life, so I guess it's probably not the best thing for me to...
Most difficult of self-trades, payment collection.
Oh, not with me. I'm that girl. I got you.
Yeah, especially if the customer has money issues. That's why you got to do your weeding out, right?
Oh, thank you guys, by the way, everybody who went on to like Home Advisor for us and some of the other channels and wrote reviews for us. It's helped. We've gotten, I think we had, what did I tell you, 13 deck leads this week?
Yeah.
If I see one more deck lead come in. Just kidding. Keep coming. Just kidding. This is the thing where you have to say, like, God's providing.
Indeed.
And you can't even be upset about, like, I actually almost was thinking about saying, China Garden, how can I help you? That was going to be how I answered the phone last week because I was getting so many leads that it was insane. And it's not like they were great leads. So yeah, again, he's providing and I can't even be upset with him because he's providing for me. So I had to laugh about it. This is hard to like read the chat because you guys are killing it tonight. So I'm really like...
David Beck goes, I was just kidding. I don't have a girlfriend. I'm a computer nerd. Girls scare me. David, it was so funny, man.
David, we just got done talking about fear.
Fear, Dave. Fear.
It's paralyzing. Think about what could happen if you were less paralyzed.
Ooh.
Hey, any single ladies out there for David? Maybe just a computer nerd girlfriend. We were going to do that, you guys. We were going to do that. I know. I thought that might have been what Sermons thought too.
Yeah.
Okay, we love Sermons. Jason,
I do
of
love
course.
Sermons.
Here's the thing.
I think we had some great shows the last month, and it's probably partially my fault because I told him I'd contact him during the week. Probably all my fault.
Okay, this is the thing that we have to accept that stuff. Okay, this is the part that, like, when you say,
did you say personal responsibility?
Yes.
Yeah, but you're part of my responsibility now.
What?
Yes, you partially have responsibility of my time.
No, because I just got done saying up there. No, I just got done saying go back up in that chat there, sir. How I feel like I need to do this. This is probably why I feel this way.
Let's do morning coffee and political news piece, Patriot Coffee Time with Mel and Company. Ooh.
Y'all.
Where are you from?
I actually am from Texas. Don't take that away from me. That's a good state to be in. Right, Mackenzie? Okay, but I have...
Max on.
Huh? Oh, Max on? I have thought about that, but my biggest concern, again, is the fact that I worry that I'm not going to be able to commit and feel committed. There's times, especially right now with opening this business, that I feel a little overwhelmed. Tara, you are right. I'm not so political. I am, like, I get real, like, worked up about that kind of stuff. But in order for me to live a healthy, like, mentally healthy life and not become part of the prison system, I had to kind of back out of that deal a little bit because it was getting heated for me.
Yeah. Brian just said Sermons is probably watching, but doesn't want to come out of the cave so he can harass him. Well, he's actually in his garden. He was playing with his flowers. He just texted me.
Lucky you, because we can't have a garden because we had freaking snow last week in New York.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Yeah. So the last thing that I like to think of when I think of fear is Mark chapter 5, verse 36, right? So, while Jesus was still speaking, this is verse 35. While Jesus was still speaking, some people came from the house of Jairus, the synagogue leader. Your daughter is dead, they said. Why bother the teacher anymore? And overhearing what they said, Jesus told him, don't be afraid, just believe. And that's a pretty powerful statement. Don't be afraid, just believe. And so in this chapter, we see the story of Jairus, whose daughter was deathly ill, right? And he sought Jesus' help. Before they got to his home, the messengers told him that his daughter had died. And obviously Jesus says, don't be afraid, have faith. And Jesus healed his daughter from death that day. And I think God is telling us to do the same. Don't be afraid, have faith. And these are reminders that I have to give myself. And they're good reminders. You know, when I start to have self-doubt, I got into a project on last Monday, and, I ended up opening up a window, and it was a frickin' nightmare. Just rot. Everywhere I looked, there was rot. And I ate up a bunch of lumber trying to fix it, and, it was just a really, really tough opening. And the next day we went back and we did 2 openings in the same amount of time as we did 1. That felt a lot better, right? And I had fear. I had doubt. But at the end of the day, I have to have a belief in myself, in my skill set, in my knowledge base. But I also have to have faith in God that I can get it done. It's going to look great. And I'm going to have a happy customer. And I'm going to get paid. Excuse me, right? Because that's
my biggest fear.
Yeah.
Not that you're not going to get paid. My biggest fear in that is that you're going to be overworked and regret it. Because let's not lie, you had a pretty cushiony situation before this in some ways, but it wasn't fulfilling in the sense of like yours, because the deal wasn't fulfilled on their end.
Yeah. So, what do you guys got to say? What do you guys do when you have faith?
Faith, when you
and
have fear
issues. Yeah.
I curse a lot.
You do, huh? Yeah.
No, I don't. Well, I do, but lately I've just been praying. That's what I have to do. I went to that spiritual healer who's a really good friend of mine. And again, she was put into my life at that moment for a reason. It was when I was working at the school, and she's actually she's part of like OTPT there. And I hadn't seen her for a really long time. And the day that I was leaving, she came in. She had just brought on a new student. And so, ironically, I see her, and she gives me her phone number, and we talk and whatever. And I do have a lot of deep-seated things that I keep inside me. And I do take on a lot of people's emotions and energies. And I want to make sure that you're not feeling overwhelmed and all these different things. And Aiden's okay, and Kara's okay, and all these different... it's just a lot. And I think I made myself sick. Oh, I believe 100% I made myself sick with my stomach, because, again, that's where you carry dis-ease. And she said, you got to just step out. You have to put your feet in the grass, give all of your energy, all of the negative energy and any energy, to be grounded again and pray.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been doing. Just stopping where I am and praying. And not being afraid to pray in front of people or with other people.
We prayed at breakfast this morning out in public. That was a first for me.
I'm not scared of that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Were you uncomfortable? I kind of felt like you were.
No, I really wasn't.
Good.
So, hey, I'm going to open this up. Anybody want to come on as be a guest of Pathways? Share your story. Tell us something, whatever. Hit me up on the Repill Project. And tomorrow we're going to have a great show. I heard Josh hurt his back. I'm hoping he's better. But
don't worry, Jason won't be paying attention.
Sometimes he just goes on and
I'm
he
just
loses
kidding.
me. So, and I know he knows this. You know?
Yeah, we love Josh.
I'm just a co-pilot. Jay, press the button. Beep.
You are not. Hey, would you guys be upset if Jason didn't come on every single night during the week?
I think they would.
You would?
I would.
You would?
Yeah, I like doing the show.
I understand you do.
Yeah. What? So, anyways, I appreciate you guys viewing tonight. Whoa, yes. See? Don't overwork yourself with faith in God. Don't provide you the money you need to do the good thing you want to do.
All right,
Yeah.
he's going to be on. Don't worry.
So,
goodness.
I appreciate you guys coming and joining us tonight. Check us out tomorrow. It's, I forget what the new time is. I think it's 8:30 Eastern time, 6:30 Mountain time.
Yes, Tara.
Check out Josh and Jay Monday night, the Repill Project. I will talk to you. I appreciate you guys. We love you guys. I appreciate the interaction. I really think that this was a really interactive chat. Usually you guys have your own conversations in there, and sometimes it's hard to follow. And today I feel like you were talking to me, so I appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Have a very blessed week, everyone. We'll be praying for all of you.
Peace out.
Bye.